What's up, historians? I'm Smith McNeill, and this is Echoes of Freedom. Together, we'll travel to America's most iconic places, uncover hidden stories, and bring the past to life. From the voices of everyday heroes to the legends we thought we knew, we'll listen to the echoes of freedom that shaped our nation. So get ready to explore, learn, and celebrate American history, one story at a time. That these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth. That was the words of President Lincoln when he arrived here at Gettysburg 162 years ago in November for the dedication of the National Soldier Cemetery right down the road. We're standing here at the train station. If you kind of see, you can see the train tracks. This right here is where Lincoln came right in these very tracks to this very station. I'm going to step back over here in the shade. To this very station to deliver 272 words that he said the world will little note no longer remember what we say here, but it cannot forget what they did here. See, Lincoln wasn't the highlight of the whole dedication of the cemetery. He was just here as an honored guest. But his 272 words is a speech that shocked the nation. With these words, he closed one of the most powerful speeches in American history, the Gettysburg Address. Lincoln spoke here on November 19th of 1863, just 4 months after the guns fell silent right here at Gettysburg. He had come to dedicate the Soldiers' National Cemetery created to bury the thousands of Union soldiers who fell during the 3 days of fighting. Before this cemetery was established, many of the dead lay in shallow, makeshift graves across the fields. In fact, when the rains came, it unearthed many of the soldiers because they were just a couple feet deep. Local citizens, overwhelmed by the scale of death, pushed for a proper burial ground to honor these men. This was led by David Willis and his house. We walk up here to the corner. I can kind of show you where his house is. But David Willis, he lives just down the street, and he personally sends an invite to President Lincoln to come out and help dedicate this cemetery for the soldiers. We're almost up here to the street corner, and we're going to just take a look. So if you look on up the street here, you can kind of see where the theater is. But just up there where those motorcycles went through is the roundabout. And just on the other side of that roundabout to the left is the house of David Willis, where Lincoln would stay during his time here. Just a short walk up the block to the David Willis house, and then just a short walk over to the cemetery. It was almost an afterthought that Lincoln was invited. Like I said, he wasn't the primary speaker. He was asked to deliver just a few appropriate remarks. Yet, as I said, in just 272 words, he forever refined the meaning of the war that and what America stood for. He reminded the nation that this struggle was about preserving the ideals of liberty and equality, and that those who died here at Gettysburg had given their last full measure of devotion for a higher cause. Today, the Gettysburg National Cemetery is a final resting place for over 3,500 Union soldiers, their graves marked by simple headstones. It remains a place of quiet reflection and remembrance, and Lincoln's words continue to echo here, challenging every generation to live up to the promise of a nation truly dedicated to freedom for all. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth from this continent a new nation, perceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.